So you decided to build your ADU. Now, how do you fund it? My name is Lindsay. This is Linda's Investing. And in this video, I'm going to talk about how you can fund your build of an additional dwelling unit. This is by no means any advice. Please contact with an expert on your finances. And this is just ways that I've seen other people do it. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is obtaining a HELOC. What is a HELOC? A HELOC is a home equity line of credit. And it basically works by looking at your property, the property, single family residence or multifamily residence that you already own, that you already homestead, is looking at the value and looking at the debt. And then so whatever amount of equity, you will be able to get a loan backed by the equity on your current home. And it works as a secondary loan. It does not replace your mortgage if you have a mortgage. So in order for you to get an idea of how much you can borrow would be to look at the estimates or even contact a real estate broker and ask them how much do you think your property will be worth. You can do that own research yourself by looking at sold homes in your area or finding the average square footage of price that your area trades for. When looking at HELOCs, you will find there are variables and there are fixed rate HELOCs. When we're talking about the variable interest rates, then you will find that HELOCs are mostly tied to the prime rate, which is also tied to the Fed rate. So the Fed rate dictates how much of a variability you would have in terms of that interest rate. For example, right now, I think on October 10th, you'll have the Fed rate is about 4.2, prime rate is about 7.5. And just to give you an example, the HELOC that I do have backed by my primary home is the interest right now is at 8.25. So every bank will have its own product, though most banks will call it a home equity line of credit. Every HELOC would be a little bit different. So it's up to you to find out what they're offering, what are the closing costs, how much you would have to pay out of pocket for an appraisal. It most likely would look like going into escrow, in which they will look at your income, that meaning your bank statements, your tax records, and obviously the appraised value of the home. For option number 2, there is a possibility of you getting a cash out refinance, and you would have to be very, very close to the numbers on that. So if you're one of the lucky people, for example, that were able to refinance in 2020 when interest rates were really low, then that means that you probably wouldn't want to give up that low interest rate with an interest rate like as of right now when we're in the 60s and the 7s. Oh, 6 and 7. If you don't know what this is a reference to, you should go on TikTok and find out what 6-7 means, because I had to look it up. I'm not young anymore, but anyways, cash out refi, it's something that you have to weigh on your options. If you do not want to get an additional HELOC in which you will have to pay a secondary loan, but your equity, you can cash out the equity, actually take a whole new mortgage that would replace your original mortgage of your home, and that will be subjective to the interest rates that you're getting up to right now. Another way of funding a HELOC would be to get a personal loan, and in this way, there are pros and cons, right? Pros is not secure by any means by your house. It's an unsecured loan. Cons would be most likely would have a higher interest and a lower span period of repayment. So if you look at personal loans, they could be as little as like 2 years to like 10 years, 15 years. And the interest rate definitely varies because it's closest to like a credit card more so. So you would have higher interest rates, 12%, 15% even. Number 4. So another way of funding a HELOC would be to obtain a construction loan. So if you're in the market looking for primary residence and you want to build and in the back of the unit or next to the unit, then you lot permits to. What you could do is you can apply for a construction loan instead of applying for an FHA of conventional loan, in which a construction loan will give you a more stricter loan product. It will give you draw periods to make sure the funds are disbursed. They will have their own requirements of like what kind of contractors you can use. They need to be licensed, they need to bond it and insure, and they need to be open to working with the construction loan, which has its own draw schedule. This is all about strategy, and at the end, you may be able to have the construction loan completely fund your deal, and after the construction is done, you will be able to refinance into a conventional mortgage. But you will have to find that deal. Again, there's a lot of strategy into this put on for sure. Number 5 would be getting a loan funded by Fannie Mae, like home style, or a 203K loan funded by the government, so FHA. And these two products are a little bit different, in which home style, I believe they can fund up to 95% of the loan to value of the IRB of the estimated after repair value when you're done with the ADU, with the builder ADU. And I believe FHA, you can still go as low as 3%, even with the 203K loan. So they're a little bit different, but they are also the most restrictive, in which you would have to have like a contractor that works closely with the 203K loan or home style loan. Depending, they will have to meet the requisites, they will have to meet the disbursements as well, the draw period as well. So it has some setbacks, but it's also all about strategy. And finally, something that we haven't talked about is that you can fund it yourself. If you have savings, you would be able to build something, and then I think it is quite worth it. Just for an example, I decided for this particular project for the ADU in my backyard, I had a brokerage account with some capital gains that I liquidated, and that was able to fund half of the project. So the other half is coming from my HELOC. So I have like a blended strategy here. It's coming down from my HELOC, which I'm going to be paying 8.2 interest on. And I also may even switch it over to what I'm going to do as a 401k loan. I have a 401k that I contribute to, and I'm able to get a loan from there. And then so I can, instead of paying interest to my HELOC, I can pay interest to myself. So I might even do that. But all of this to say that there is a lot of ways to find money to build the ADU, just to have a broader sense of what it looks like. Right now, my build from start to finish costed $125,000. This is a furnished ADU, 1 bedroom, 1 bath, and it's currently renting for $2,000 a month, which if you calculate the cash on cash return, that's way more than you would expect, and also adds value to my house per square footage, 400 square feet. My house in my county trades about at a rate of $500 per square feet. So that is equity that I'm building to my house. But with that build, have in mind that your insurance is gonna go up and your taxes are gonna go up. Hopefully not so much insurance. But on the tax rate, I am in Los Angeles and we are capped at a 1.1 tax rate. So even if I added the square footage, it would not be a significant amount incrementally in the tax hold, but it will increase for sure. So if you would like to know more about my project, definitely stay put, because I'm gonna come up with more videos and you can see the walkthrough, and you can see also a lot of the pain challenges that I deal with in my contractor. And ask me any questions if you have any. If you haven't liked or subscribed to my channel, please do so right now, because you gotta show me the love, okay?